Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back. Welcome to Market Check, brought to you by Because Bitcoin. My name is Max, and I'm the CEO Because Bitcoin. And today you'll notice it's just me and Tucker. But that's going to change because Will be joining us. Tommy will be joining us. He had some car problems. But in the meantime, it's just me and Tucker. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Welcome, welcome. Before we get into it, if you could do me a solid, hit that thumbs up button for us, hit that retweet button on Twitter, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. You know the routine, you know the deal. But guys, thank you so much for being here again. There is lots to discuss. I have a ton of charts that I want to get into today, but I would say that the theme of today is just kind of like bullish chop. You know, I'm unwilling to waver that this is a bearish anything across the board, specifically in crypto, right? We're up a lot in a very short period of time. We're seeing some local, bullish chop, in my opinion. It wouldn't surprise me to see a move down to 50K, retest that previous high. Similarly to kind of how Tucker has it drawn on the right side there. He's got a little green box drawn at the previous demand zone. It wouldn't surprise me to see that level get retested like Tucker has drawn right there. I think that equities look really strong. I think that crypto is coiling and still lagging equities, and Bitcoin is probably primed for an all-time high, maybe even before the halving. But what I'm most excited about and what I want to spend some time dissecting today is the altcoin rotations that I believe we are on the cusp of. I believe we are on the brink of one of the biggest altcoin seasons, altcoin rallies, altcoin rotations, whatever you want to call it, potentially of all time. Now, why I say that is a lot of people are looking at this rally right now where Bitcoin dominance has been aggressively trending up for over a year. And we just had, nearly 10 spot ETFs for Bitcoin get approved. And they're saying, well, this is going to be, the supply squeeze of a lifetime, and Bitcoin's going to teleport to six figures, and it's going to only get crazier after the halving. And to them, I say you're correct. But where you're wrong is I don't believe this is going to be a Bitcoin dominated cycle. I believe that now, with the additional regulatory clarity and sort of the green light to bid Bitcoin, big money is going to go further and further out on the risk curve than they ever have before. And I believe we are starting to see that rotation take effect and take flight. Now, we may have another 30, 60, 90 days at the most, but I think the altcoin rotation is going to go absolutely nuts. And if we look at total 2 and total 3 and compare and contrast them and juxtapose them with Bitcoin dominance, I think the writing is on the wall. We've just left our 500-day reaccumulation phase ranges. We're starting to reclaim levels and chew into some inefficiencies that were formed during the drawdown of 2022. And I think things are just starting to heat up. But anyways, enough rambling for me for now. I believe the stage has been set. Tucker, what are we looking at here, man? Let's do a little bit of speculation and draw some lines, huh?
Yes, I'd love to. I'd love to draw some lines this morning. Yeah, so you said it right. We are chewing into some inefficiencies on Total 2 on the weekly. It's really just these two, honestly. And I think if you get over that 900 billion mark, you're probably just gonna fly. Truly, like it still looks pretty similar to somewhere in here. Just like this reaccumulation above bear market range highs, right? So, I mean, look, we were talking about this yesterday, right? We were talking about Bitcoin dominance yesterday, saying it probably could go higher. Like, I'm a fader of Bitcoin dominance on a multi-month time frame for sure. I think it's smart to do that. I think generally you want to probably, like this is kind of how I view it, right? Like down here, you want to be getting heavy Bitcoin or heavy Bitcoin, right? And up here, you want to get heavy altcoins, right? So you're kind of in the middle, if we just look at historical ranges, you're kind of in the middle. But generally speaking, after trending up, you're going to want to start rotating Bitcoin to altcoins, in my opinion, and to catch this type of a move or this type of a move, right? Because this is when your altcoins just send to Valhalla, right? So I mean, it's like fade, 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 fade. You catch the move, right? That's kind of how I'm viewing it. So because it's like, you know what, if you haven't been in Bitcoin since, you know, if you weren't buying the bottom and you got in at 30K, it's like, okay, nice, you're up like 60%, right? Well, you know, we're up over that in a week on Dimension, right? It's like, you know, we can we can outperform Bitcoin pretty easily. So I think, but if we're just talking about like the broader market and total two, total three, others, you know, those tickers, right? Like I think it makes sense to start rotating some Bitcoin into those if you haven't already. But you know, that being said, this is what you want to see, right? Like this is what I was saying in our morning Discord call. You want to see this action from Bitcoin dominance. You want to see Bitcoin, you know, do this stair step up, right? Which it's been doing. Like this is a healthy bull market. You know, that like, you know, kind of manic action like that. And like, that's how you kind of get a blow off top, right? Like if we just go to the Bitstamp chart and look at 2017, right? That's what you want to see. Where's 2017? Yeah, like this kind of a parabola, right? Is what you want to see. And I think that's probably what we're gonna get and what we're getting right now. You know, drawn out here are just the I'm sure there's 618s as well, but they're just shoulders, right? The bear market bounce shoulder or the dead cat bounce shoulder on all of these rallies going into the bear market. You know, what happened when we got above it, like, and sustained.
And it's amazing to see on that where it's like they initially reject from it, and then once you
Mhm.
climb back above it, it's game over.
It's game over. You go straight up.
And look
Yeah.
what we did just recently. We rejected at 49K, and now we're back above it, and look what happens. You know, look
Mhm.
what happens historically when you climb back above that.
Yeah, because we were we've been looking at this time period a lot. This kind of like August 2020 time period, and that's kind of been the thesis for having a shortened cycle, right? Is that like, you know, it most closely mimics this price action right here. You got to discount COVID, right? You can't plan for COVID again. But
Imagine calling for COVID.
dude, I know. I couldn't imagine calling for COVID, man. But yeah, I mean, we tapped the 618, which was also the shoulder. The Golden Pocket Boys were screaming from the rooftops that it was completely over. We pulled back 20%. They all wanted to buy the FVG and efficiency at 32 and a half. And then we just blasted their faces off. And that's all there is to it. Right. And it's like, if you were waiting for like this region to buy, you might have just gotten left in the dust, honestly. I think you probably did actually pretty convincingly.
Well, that was like "Oh, if we just get that, I'll buy there," you know? That
Mhm,
was the crowded shove spot. Everybody was kinda willing to concede, like, "Alright, we're entering a bull market." Even some
mhm,
of the bears, they were like, "Alright, you know, well, I'll pick up some at 32." Like, "I think we get 32." And then it was like, "You know what? I think we get 35."
mhm.
It's just when you see these targets, like the most obvious if the most obvious support on the entire chart gets hit, it's not that obvious. Tommy
Yeah,
always said that. He's like, "If you get that perfect retest, it actually isn't so perfect." There's
yeah.
something to be said about that.
And it's like, I'm just looking back now, and I know this was COVID PA, but, like, it kinda looked like people were probably waiting for, like, inefficiencies at, like, 7,500 or 8K. Actually, I know they were waiting for, like, this
For
area
sure.
to get filled in and, like, you know, you could even call like, you know, this kind of your vertical accumulation even, you know. So I mean, it looks pretty similar. And all these guys who were like, oh yeah, I'll buy like 7,500, whatever, left in the dust. See you later. Right. So I don't know. It looks pretty similar to me, guys. So yeah.
It does, and if you fractal it over it, it actually kinda looks similar, like, exclude the COVID dump, but take the buyback after COVID and drag it through the bull market. You know,
Exclude the buyback.
so
What?
to the left a little bit. So as soon as we started buying back after the COVID drop, even further left. Yeah, I mean that's fine, whatever. But if you put that over where we're currently at, I mean
I mean,
it's
maybe
pretty
you
similar,
do
man. You know, like
like that. We had that. Oh yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
already had that. Yeah, I've been playing around with that as well. And of
Hmm.
course, like we just do this as like an exercise, right? You know, fractals never play out one to one. You guys know that. We don't even need to tell you that. But the spirit of the move, the psychology behind a move can be very, very similar. And we see that time and time again.
Hmm.
And I mean, we've been screaming from the rooftop on this show. We're potentially in an expedited cycle. You know, we've never flipped this shoulder that Tucker has drawn, these white lines. You know, this is the bull market complacency shoulder before the bear market. We've never flipped that with conviction before a Bitcoin halving. But we have this time, you know? And the big question in the room is right it's one, is this an expedited cycle? And does that imply that it's going to be a shortened cycle or just that we're going to actually just blast off higher than anybody's expecting because we're leaving the station earlier? Or does it have to do with, you know, institutions are bidding and they simply just don't care to time it out like some of the crypto natives, you know, and wait for the halving and try to, you know, fill in some inefficiencies and, you know, shake people out? Do these institutions, you know, guys buying clips of 30 to 100 million in Bitcoin on a daily basis, do they really care about your 4-hour FVG? You know, that my gut tells me they don't even know what an FVG is because they're rich enough to not have to know what an FVG is. It's a luxury to not have to know what a 4-hour FVG is. And that's the truth. You know, people still trying to make it focus on FVGs. But you think Michael Saylor knows what an FVG is? He probably think it's some sort of like spacecraft or something, you know? Michael Saylor just unloads clips into Bitcoin, you know? That's a luxury, man. He earned that right. Me, I haven't earned that right yet. I still have to focus on 4-hour FEGs. But I don't think they care, man. I think that they're looking at Bitcoin. We had a space with Gary Cardone yesterday. He's pretty tapped into the institutional scene. You could even probably call him an institutional player himself. He doesn't care about that stuff, man. He's not even entertaining selling, you know? He's looking to just buy more. His friends are looking to buy more. Institutions that he's in touch with, family offices he's in touch with, all these big players that he speaks with, they're just looking to buy more and they're not even going to look at the price. He's telling me, he's like, they're going to buy, you know, 300 Bitcoin and they're not going to look at it for 5 years. They're simply not going to. And that's the difference. You know, so we're talking about this, you know, supply squeeze, and it's a real thing, right?
Mhm.
The demand for Bitcoin is very asymmetrically skewed against the available supply, and it's only getting worse. So I believe the last figure I saw alluded to the new inflows for the ETFs is like 3 or 4 times the daily demand that miners can basically push onto the market through freeing up Bitcoin because of their mining operation. So the demand currently is, we'll just say 2 to 4 times on a daily basis on average, 2 to 4 times as much as the new available supply. Okay. And then when the Bitcoin halving occurs, that number goes from 2 to 4 times up to 4 to 8 times. So the demand currently, assuming inflows remain constant, demand remains constant, supply is about to get cut in half in 60 days, is 4 to 8 times the daily available supply. And of course, that doesn't account for previous supply, right? There's just like, there's always a float, you know, there's always somebody looking to sell, right? But that is a crazy, crazy skew. That is totally off balance and it's unsustainable and it will lead to a fractal like Tucker has drawn right here. That's the only logical outcome. It's the only logical outcome. It's the only scenario that makes sense if demand remains constant. And demand just picked up like crazy. So, I mean, we have new whales that have entered the space, but you know, as bringing it back to alt season, guys, like I think that a lot of people are looking at this going, this is going to be a Bitcoin only rally because of the ETFs. And to that, I say, I think that Bitcoin was big players going out on the risk curve last cycle. Now Bitcoin is not going out on the risk curve. Where do they go out further on the risk curve? Last cycle, they went into Bitcoin. That was their, their shit coin. All right. Now Bitcoin is their, secure sort of like benchmark asset, benchmark digital asset. You're going to see the craziest alt season that you have ever seen this next cycle, because now they're going to go crazy out on the risk curve, and it's not Bitcoin. It's going to be all your favorite shit coins. And I think if you look at total 2 and total 3, I think the writing is on the wall. I really do. Boy, that would be beautiful, wouldn't it?
180K by the halving. I smashed it up a little bit, but
I don't know if I see that. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it happens.
it's just so hard to fractal when Bitcoin was $700, dude. It's like I just can't do it. But
If it happens, that's cool, man. I mean, let's do it, right? I mean, there's a scenario that probably should be entertained of something like that happening.
yeah, it's just tough to make it happen. You got to do this. And
I actually think that the best fractal I've seen for what's going to happen with Bitcoin, someone, I think one of our Discord members tagged me in it this morning, and it was comparing Bitcoin to NVIDIA. And I think that you're similar to the chip squeeze, the supply shortage for chips that we're seeing with NVIDIA. You're going to see a similar supply and demand mechanics applied to Bitcoin, similarly to what we just saw with NVIDIA. So if you pull up NVIDIA, let's go to a similar time frame. He had it really nicely drawn. And I think this is, I mean, truthfully, this is what I'm envisioning in my mind, something like this. Yeah, we'll need to go out a little bit. Yeah, like keep that up so we can see more price action, Tucker. Like,
dude, look at these levels, man. What were these levels?
Dude. Oh my gosh.
I don't even want to know what those levels were for.
But if you could massage these charts so that we can see that, the 2022 tops and then bear market. Let's mark out the previous all-time highs on both NVIDIA and Bitcoin, just horizontal line. I think that this scenario makes a whole lot of sense. And then when Bitcoin does the NVIDIA fractal right above the all-time high, that's when altcoins literally go nuts. If Bitcoin gets to 100K and ranges between 70 and 100 for 3 months, altcoins are literally going to put on the biggest bubble you have ever seen, ever.
Mm-hmm.
If that fractal plays out, and I know we've talked about it on this show before, guys. And guys, here's the deal. I do have to run. So this is going to be a Tucker and Tommy stream, but I talked to them beforehand, man. They're going to absolutely cook for you today. Absolutely cook for you guys. I have a last minute PT appointment in 15 minutes that I have to get to. I forgot about it until this morning. All right. Before I go, I have to badger you. All right. These guys are going to absolutely cook for you today. And they're much nicer than me. They're not going to bug you to like the video. They're not going to bug you to subscribe to the channel or join the Discord. That's me. So you guys are getting off easy today. But before I leave and kick it over to Tucker and Tommy, and they're going to absolutely cook you up a hibachi dinner right in front of you like you've never had before. Ichiban, Benihana, man. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic meal right in front of you. Please consider doing us a solid, guys. We got 130 people watching. If you are on Twitter, hit that like button and please hit that retweet button, guys. You guys on Twitter have been killing it. The Twitter crowd, I got to tip my hat to you guys. We've been getting a lot of retweets on our streams lately. Hit that like button, hit that retweet button, help push this content to the masses, guys. We're trying to do some good work here and help everybody. We're here for free on YouTube and Twitter now every single day, doing an hour-and-a-half alpha dump. Please consider liking and retweeting. In the YouTube crowd, come on, guys, we got to get these likes up. I expect a lot more of you guys. We got 100 people watching on YouTube with 55 likes, guys. We're not even close to 1-to-1. It's a very fair ask, a very, very fair exchange of services, guys. If you are enjoying the content, if you are a regular here, if you enjoy the alpha dump, we do this stream for free every single day, Monday through Friday. We share alpha. We share our thoughts, totally unfiltered, free content. All that we ask for in return is to hit that like button. Help push our content. Unfortunately, YouTube really, really heavily skews and rewards creators that get likes on their streams. So just a friendly reminder, guys, If it didn't matter, we wouldn't bring it up. But before I leave, please hit that like button, guys. Let's run these likes up. Please help push the content. And again, on Twitter, please like and subscribe. And again, thank you guys so much for being here. But yeah, just take one quick moment, guys. Just one quick moment. That's all we need. Hit that thumbs up button for us. But guys, I'll see you later. Tucker and Tommy are going to absolutely cook for you guys. So stick around. I'll see you guys later.
See you, Max.
See you, Max.
All right. Let's cook, Tucker. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we were talking about on Call of Duty last night.
Oh, man. I'm down.
Speaking of NVIDIA, I'd love if you could look at the NASDAQ price action from the tech bubble.
Yeah, let me do this. Let's do NDX.
You see this, Tucker?
Dad's gone. Let's get wild. Yeah. Real. All right, wait, where's the tech?
We're going to get into some exotic derivatives today, guys.
Yeah, we are. Oh, man. Okay. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, man. It's identical.
Isn't it?
Yeah, this into that. I mean, you're going to have this still, but yeah.
I think that's where we're at right now on it.
What?
For NVIDIA, that is.
Up in this chop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also means it can rip to like $1,000, which is insane to think about.
Here. Dude, higher than that. Okay, you started that right there.
Well, I figured the pit stop, it would make sense if the pit stop were in the window of weakness, right?
Yeah, so dude, that's identical. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, about 1,000 maybe. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then you run the smallest version of the 1970s fractal, and then you go. Literally. Yeah, I see that. I see that.
Because NVIDIA is kind of like its own bubble. You know, there's been strength in other tech stocks kind of periodically throughout the last year and a half of uptrend, but NVIDIA has been the one constant that's always been getting bid.
Yeah, I mean, dude, NVIDIA's up literally 7x, 6.5x off the bottom. That's unreal. As a stock. Are there any good 1929 fractals we need?
Oh man. Not for NVIDIA, I hope.
Wars. Yeah. I don't know, man. I could see this playing out. It definitely doesn't feel topped right here, but I also don't think indices are topped here.
Means AI is going to get even wilder, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Jesus.
I mean, you probably.
Tucker and I fumbled a 30x AI play.
Is it a 30x now?
Yeah. Well, I haven't checked this morning. I assume so.
Yeah.
Oh my god. We fumbled.
Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy yourselves in TradFi, man. Oh my god. Imagine the smell.
Jeez, it went to $5, Tucker.
What?
NMT.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, I faded it solely because it's on BSC, man. It's on BSC. When was I told about that? Fuck, I gotta check that. Oh man.
At 8 cents, bro.
5. I was shielded at 5.
No.
That's
It literally
100x.
went up. It literally went up like
That's 100x,
50
bro.
to 100x
in a day.
2 days.
Yeah, I mean, it says it's up, what, 85? God, why? Only because it was on BSC, man. I said, nah, I'm good. I don't
Insane,
even,
man.
I'm not going to play on BSC, but that is unfortunate. Jeez.
Is what it is, man. It is what it is.
I mean, dude, that's just a sign of the times, honestly.
Isn't it?
If you have
that's full
shit
market
popping off,
behavior.
Yeah, you have shit popping off 100x in 2 days, like, and you're bearish on. And you're bearish on. Jeez.
Chart literally looks like a honeypot. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. What about ETH, man? You want to FUD ETH a little bit?
Man, I don't know if I have any FUD for ETH, but not today. But maybe we get a little dip into 2,700 before you get a ripper.
Yeah.
I could see something like that. But looks good. Good buyback on it. Alts are starting to get that buyback. And I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised that alts bled as much as they did with
Same.
Bitcoin not moving, man. I really thought Bitcoin would trade into 50K. And if it does trade into 50K now, I mean, I don't really know what altcoin structures look like.
They probably get smashed, dude.
Well, I've had this assumption they get smashed and then that's the bid.
Yeah.
And then they were bleeding way more than I expected. So
I know it was odd. Bitcoin dominance just chatted.
yeah, many such cases this year. Bitcoin dominance is chatting. What does ETH what do the Bitcoin pairs look like on alts? Because if they're starting to bottom, that's going to be a signal.
What alt do you want to look at?
Just look at all of them.
All right, ETH BTC. I'm sure you're concerned about ADA BTC. Matic BTC. Lose this level and you're done. Link BTC looks fine, honestly. AVAX. I don't know about that one either. Who cares about FT? Why? These are old tickers. FTM BTC. Literally, who cares?
Got Atom in there. Uniswap.
Hey, we're gonna delete those.
What does render look like on the Bitcoin pair? That's been a strong asset.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Chad. Chatting. Boom. Who could have foreseen the bid on Sol BTC, man? Jesus. Jesus. But here, it kind of looks like Sol USD before it broke down and then bounced hard as fuck. Right? Like, do you see it, Tommy?
Mm-hmm.
It looks identical. Look at this. Look at this shit. It looks exactly like Sol USD did.
Yeah, that's something I've kind of noticed on Sol Bitcoin is that it's almost kind of lagging the USD pair.
Yeah, man. It's like you're like here.
Sweeping all the lows and go.
Yeah, you're like.
I mean, what would that imply, though? What would that imply on Sol? Would that imply that the Dr. Outlook fractal that he was talking about yesterday, where it went to like 94? Do you still have that?
Where Sol went to 94?
Yeah, I know we were talking about the possibility of that yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I remember, and then I said that, and he's like, no, it doesn't have to be perfect, though. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm like, all right, well, it's kind of playing out, though. Let's see. Look at that. That's funny. Didn't even know that was on there. No, but I can draw it out, though. Let's see here. So what did he do? He just wanted like this to here flipped. No, I need to mirror. No. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I mean, so I need to make this smaller, but
Interesting.
very interesting. Would say tops in, comes back down to 90. No, can't happen, dude. No, but he was saying
That'd be wild, man.
that's not where
really
he
what-
was taking it from. He was taking it from like here or whatever.
Yeah, that
was
makes more
saying-
sense.
He was saying we're right in this. Right. So yeah, back to 105. I mean, it depends on where you draw this thing from, but
We got some super chats, Tucker. Got someone wanting Remy the Whippet wanting us to look at Aptos on the Bitcoin pair on the weekly. Says it looks primed and the RSI looks good too.
why does it pull up this stupid MA? Nobody wants an MA on the RSI, man. What is this? Okay,
I hate
what?
that they put that in there, man. I really do.
You hate what?
I hate that they put that moving average on there. I
I
always
know,
have to make it like completely opaque.
There's nothing I hate more than the RSI moving average. Okay, wait, what? So RSI looked primed.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be one of those things where like all of a sudden Aptos puts in a huge
Oh,
candle
weekly.
DXY.
He said weekly. Yeah, I've just never been an Aptos guy, honestly. So
That's a funny chart.
yeah, it's
It's still
hilarious.
so surreal to think about that coin went like, what was it, 7 or 8x in 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, man. Let's look at. Oh my, it's the same as the USD chart, dude. Oh my god. No, that's not real. Okay. But yeah, it did run from $3 to like 20.
Yeah. That's a real pump right
Oh
there.
man, this is suey, bro. This is suey.
Oh, let's do the overlay.
Dude, this is suey. What do we even this is suey.
It's probably the same VCs that are trading it.
Dude, how did we not look at that before? Because I've literally never looked at Aptos, actually. That's exactly why. I mean, here's the problem. The wick goes to $100, so can't really use that, but
I still think Sui can come down a good bit.
yeah.
Like I've been saying that Sui to me looks a lot like where Say was a few months ago, where it put in that 3 drive and then reconsolidated before sending again.
Yeah.
And that was a big pump too. It was like 150%.
Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't really make sense to use the fractal on here as actionable, because what you should have been doing is using it like this is like this, honestly, to catch that. But like, because I don't think Sui's gonna put in a top and then just bleed forever like Aptos did, because Aptos is kind of just a shit coin, honestly. I think Sui's
It's future of finance when it's pumping and a shit coin when it's not.
it's a shit coin always, man. It is.
Aptos is definitely a shit coin, but it will pump,
Always.
and then it'll be the future of finance.
What is this pattern? What do they call this pattern?
The Yui,
The Yui. Holy
the
shit.
Sui.
Holy shit. What are your thoughts on CAS USD and CAS BTC? This is more Mac's question, because he's got as much propaganda as you could possibly imagine on Caspa. But we will.
The Casper.
Yeah, literally. CAS BTC.
Wonder if they're gonna spike all these highs on Bitcoin and then revert it to like 50K.
No. What do you think about? I'm bullish on Caspa, but like I've seen this before, where this is like a top and then they do that. You know what I'm talking about?
It looks like Sol, you know.
Yeah.
It'll probably trade a lot like Sol, because, you know, it's really kind of how I view. Let's take a look at Rune as well, because I think that's part of the same basket that have just been, trending with Bitcoin, or at least they did starting in October. A lot of these have direct ties to Bitcoin, like Caspa's proof of work. Rune has a lot of or like holds a lot of Bitcoin or whatever. I know Rune had some sort of announcement this week.
They raised their lending caps from 25 to 100 mil, so that's bullish.
Oh man, more leverage.
Yeah, more leverage is the yeah, man, look at all these charts. So they all look the same. Oh, this is Caspa BTC, so ignore that. But yeah, like Caspa, Sol, and Rune look pretty much identical.
Who could have foreseen?
I think Sol looks the best, honestly, though, for a punt. It's just
Yeah,
the
because
more
Sol is doing that thing where it's just like steady grinding up.
Mhm.
I would feel bad, or I would think the chart would probably not look the best if Bitcoin wicked to like 50K from here, which is kind of our expectation at this point. I would say, at least mine. I'm not really expecting Bitcoin to just like shad significantly higher from here without some level of mean reversion.
Yeah.
What is the FTM of this cycle? That's a really good question, man. I was thinking I think I talked about this last week. Not that I have an idea of who it's going to be, but you look back at the FTM chart on Binance, and you could literally have bought it for pennies, and it ran. I mean, Wabi had, I think, a ton of FTM at one point when he was getting started, but I mean, it ran like 300 or 400x almost. I don't even know what the next FTM is. I will say I don't know if I'm maybe it exists, but at least right now, I think a lot of the layer 1 valuations have been priced a lot more efficiently. Like you might not get another FTM to the same degree. That might just mean you have to settle for an asset that's undervalued to the tune of like a 30 or a 40x rather than a 300 or a 400x. But we're seeing with a lot of these new protocols that are launching, and I'm going to assume it's a new token that goes. Did FTM have a 2017, 2018 cycle? I don't think so. I think it launched in like 2019.
Yeah, it did.
A lot of these layer ones, because of the success of the layer 1 trade during 2021, they've just been priced way more efficiently on the market. So I don't know if there is one that exists like a layer 1. I'm sure that it's there. I'm sure that the altcoins in general, there's a few hundred X's sitting out there. There always are.
Yeah, look who we got.
Dr. Outlook.
We had a Stacks chart request. Good Lord.
Crazy.
Dude, I hadn't even looked at this, man. I remember Jackus was screaming from the rooftops about it in the Discord, like right in here.
Hey guys,
Yeah,
can you
right in
TA
here.
something that's going straight vertical? Thanks.
Oh, can you do TA on something going vertical? Yeah.
Can you TA this massive green candle? Because I'm interested because there's a massive green candle.
Yeah, man. Like traditionally, this has been where you sell. So, I mean, obviously, I think it'll flip this at some point, but this is not the time to be purchasing this asset.
That's not something you even look at. You just literally hit the sell button.
Yeah, probably. I
I
mean,
don't
you
care how
probably,
bullish you think you can get. You roll it over into something else.
yeah, you
And let this thing
probably
cool down.
fill in. I would bet you fill this move in a little bit at least.
Yeah, that's gonna be a multi-month like sideways down painful move.
Something like that. If you
I
fill
don't,
the
I don't
whole
think.
thing, it's bearish. But
Yeah, I also don't think that thing actually like tries to fill quickly either, because I don't think people give up on it. I think it'll just eat its way down for like a lot. I forget. Jax has brought up many coins that have done this, in the past, where it just like slow bleeds down for a period of time, eats up most of the liquidity down to and fills the move, and then comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it needs to fill in a little bit, but you just don't want to see it distribute up here like that.
Well,
But
look at that move you have right there to your left at the top of the last cycle,
this one or this one?
right there.
Yeah.
Like no, look at that middle candle, the middle one where it goes
This?
straight up. Now look at the one where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say you're like more so.
I'm not saying it's top, like the cycle's over for it, but I'm saying it's a very similar move, so you might see a long period of cooldown.
I'd say you're maybe like, if you're gonna do that again, you do some shit like that.
Yeah,
But,
yep.
but I mean, it probably good. Like everything's probably going higher over the next year, so it's like you can probably blindly ape into stuff and still win. But it's like if you're gonna try to be precise, you should not buy something that looks like that right now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
INJ.
I saw this last cycle too, Tucker, where a lot of people like they would be like, "Hey, can you look at this?" And it would always be a coin that's straight vertical.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, "Why don't you look at a coin that's down massive
Yeah.
and see what the potential is on that?"
I don't know, man. I think INJ is probably pretty bullish here. Seeing a decent
That looks good.
That's
That's really good.
man.
Yeah. That looks like a coil to pop.
I mean, look what happened after. Yeah, INJ probably tears that. It probably goes to like $100.
Yeah, that's a good looking chart. That's a coil, so that's something you would want to look for sure.
Tommy,
Could
what
have
do
a
you,
little bit more downside, but that looks massive.
Tommy, what do you say about INJ, brother?
I don't know, man.
Come on now.
I've been watching INJ for a few weeks now, and I would have thought it would have legged up again, given the market conditions, because it didn't leg up at all while Bitcoin ran like 25-30%. And I know, alts don't have to run with Bitcoin, but INJ is the Chad coin, man. It's been the Chad coin since the start of 2023. It always catches a bid.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, alts have literally been bleeding over the last like week against Bitcoin specifically, but
against Bitcoin, but they've still been going up, right? Like they've been painting market structures that are grinding higher and threatening to break market structure. INJ didn't even really threaten market structure. It just has kind of been in a downtrend.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah. You're gonna need to see some strength out of that, but
I mean,
I think that can look good quickly, though.
Tommy, let me ask you a different question. The question that Tucker never asked you: would you buy INJ or Stacks right now, if you didn't have a choice on anything else?
Oh man.
Oh, I'm buying Stacks because of the unit cost.
Yeah,
but you're buying Stacks where it sits at right now.
I mean, INJ is above all-time highs. STX is about to do the same.
Brother, oh man,
Not that different.
What about you, Tucker? Which one are you doing?
Stacks or INJ?
Yeah.
From if I'm only looking at the chart, or no?
Yeah. If you're only looking at the chart.
Okay, let me do this. I gotta look at it next to each other. Let's see. I mean, looking for what? Like over what time period, right? But
let's say you're looking for a potential move in the next couple months.
INJ. INJ for sure. Yeah. Okay. INJ. I think you can maybe grind down a little more, but I think you do that. Stacks, you probably do this for a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. If I'm looking for something like by the end of Q1, But if I'm talking like for the bull market and
Mhm.
what I like more and what my portfolio could use would be stacks, because I have plenty of shit that does what INJ does. Like, you know.
Yeah. No, I was just talking from like a pure technical
Yeah.
standpoint. Couple months move. You know what would look better.
It
Yeah,
would
that's
just be
that.
it would be hard for me to justify buying this if I'm looking for up in a couple months, is all there is to. It's not that INJ looks good, it's that stacks is probably gonna be topped out here. So
Relatively soon.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be my thoughts. I just wanted to kind of give context. That's why I asked you guys that question, just so people kind of understand what we mean by um, overheated between the two. And it doesn't
Oh,
mean
well,
that.
if you're talking momentum, yeah. I mean, STX definitely looks more prime for a pullback than INJ, but I agree with that.
Yeah. And I would think that it'd probably be like at least a couple months. Probably it's gonna
Mhm.
sit sideways. That'd be my thoughts. And that's why like I always tell people like don't get into these trades that are vertical like this. That's not where you enter, because if you enter there, it's going to get painful for a couple months and you're not going to be able to hold. Most people aren't, right? If you're looking for top of bull run, yeah, I can see what you're saying by unit cost for sure. But like if you're talking about like you're looking for a trade, you're trying to get in, trying to get out, you're going to get into this thing and you're going to see it start to move sideways and you're probably going to sell right before it pops.
I want
Yeah.
to talk about coin.
Mm. Gold
It's
coin.
dictating the bull market. I think everybody should have anticipated that.
Coin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, Coinbase buyers have been
What?
really the primary source of buy delta, pretty much like at least for like important trends throughout the last 6 or 7 months. So, and really since the start of 2023. But I'm curious if Coin is doing what Sol did. Well, yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm sure the Coin will do something akin to what Sol has done already. I'm just not sure which part it's at. I'm kind of leaning towards um, that consolidation Sol had around $60 is where Coin is.
Here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to say at $60, we made a second high, like Coin is doing right now. And then we went sideways.
So Tommy, are you saying it's over for the market?
Just chop so our altcoins can run, doctor.
Let's see. So we had what, like this top? Or maybe this top? Maybe a couple of these. You think that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think it's something to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Coin is playing a longer shitcoin cycle out.
I
That
think
probably culminates in a blow off in 2025 into like $500.
so. Let me ask you a question, Tommy. Do you think coin gets back to all time high and it exceeds all time high by the end of the bull run, or do you think it just gets above all time high, just like
Let me
barely?
see. Um, do I think it goes to all-time highs? What's the all-time high? 430? Yeah, I do think it'll exceed the all-time high, Will. I do. I think it looks a lot like these of those layer 1 charts that were really beaten down a few months ago, like Sui and Say, right before they really started to run.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I can see that too. I think it'll be really interesting to see where it tops out at, and when the bear market comes again, I think it'll be really interesting to see where it falls to.
Bro, what does this imply? You think coin's gonna drop 40?
I mean, it does very volatile things, man. I'm just saying the pattern reminds me of it.
Drop 40 in the next 2.5 weeks? Holy
Is that
shit.
what it is?
I mean, yeah, like, yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean,
Mark.
I don't know that that's my expectation, but I do think they look similar. I've been kind of operating on the idea for months now. I mean, if you guys have been watching Market Check for a while, you know that we were talking about coin calls way back at, I want to say like 90 or $100 even. I definitely could have played that better in hindsight, but coin has more or less been replicating Solana's price action, just delayed.
Mhm. Either way, you get the double bottom is basically what this thing is saying. So
So Boss just put out a statement. He said, "I'm willing to pull the timing of rate cuts forward if data calls for it." Uh-oh. You know what that means, right?
The market's going to freak out over maybe like one or two cuts, and then we go back up.
We're going to get a small pullback, and then we're going to rip.
mm,
Yeah. I mean, the pullback kind of has to occur in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Like, if we haven't shown any weakness, if you guys listen to Chem Carson, he basically said, like, if there's not weakness in the market by March 3rd or 4th, do not be short, for the love of God.
why? Because the flows are going to be silly.
The flows are basically
Bro,
just going to gamma squeeze options market makers, and there could be like a melt up because volatility, and this is something I wanted to talk about with you as well, Will, is he was talking about volatility is bottom, like, but we could see, and you can see this on the VIX in late 90s, like the market ripped higher while the VIX was in a constant uptrend, even like averaging in the 20s and 30s for pretty long periods of time. But because the market was moving up so aggressively, market makers had to, continue buying spot, but also just kind of like the underlying dynamic of that is they had the buy volatility too, or at the very least, if they were short volatility, they were getting squeezed. So you can have a situation where if we don't go down, essentially, volatility will still rise, and that can only mean one thing: we have to go up aggressively.
I mean,
So I thought that,
there's been periods in the market where that's occurred, and that's definitely a possibility. I mean, the volatility is volatility. It doesn't matter if it's buy volatility or sell volatility. Um, Typically, it's the sell side that's the most aggressive. But if you get into like something like a Bitcoin move on the stock market, yeah, it's gonna be really freaking nasty for you really fast. Um, and yeah, I agree. There's actually a lot of data that supports the fact that if you get a strong Q1, you're gonna have a strong year, and it's really stupid to be short if that happens. Really dumb. On anything, other than everything opposite of up, right? So other than the dollar, other than you could short the dollar, you could short a lot of things. You just can't short anything that has to do with advancement technology, anything, right? So you
yeah,
just maybe even bonds, right? You could probably even short bonds to be honest with you. Um, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I can see a market where bonds and start to get floored, where people think that it's time to get out, and the stock market and everything starts to massively rally. People just don't understand momentum. They don't, right? And this pressure, let's call it pressure, right? This pressure that's building in the stock market is looking to sploosh in a lot of people's faces, right?
What?
They think that the
Dear God, Will. Jesus, Lord in heaven.
they think the little bit of pressure that's already came out is the end, right? But it's getting ready to sploosh in their face. So these short bears, man, I'm telling you, they're getting ready to get their backs blown out of Q1 strong. Like if you try to like, oh, it's market this and that data and the macro and the data doesn't call for it. I am the macroeconomist. I economist the whole world because I do the macro. Those people are going to get smacked. They are going to get absolutely like I can't even believe some of the crypto people that are actually because if you're in crypto, you shouldn't even be talking about macro data. Like it doesn't matter. The halving's all that matters. Like the crypto people that are trying to do macro economics, it blows my mind. I'm absolutely astonished by these people. So again, I think follow the Q1. That's it, man. Like every year, 2023, same thing. You got a strong Q1. Shut up and buy. Didn't matter how many events or parts of the year you thought were gonna pull back, they weren't gonna be nowhere near what you thought they were gonna be.
Yeah.
This is the period though for bulls. They got to hold it up here, Will. If there is any weakness, it's going to be in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I mean, define weakness though. Define
I
weakness.
know. I mean, I think that's kind of the question is we don't know what if there is going to be weakness, what does it even look like? And for me, I mean, I would think weakness to me would be anything that breaks market structure, right? So if we trade below like 4,900 on the S&P, maybe we can start talking about a deeper correction. I would assume you get some sort of shoulder, of course. I don't think straight down is a realistic expectation in this environment. I mean, that's really only something that you get from freak bull events. But, I think if you were to see weakness, it would probably look something like breaking that low at 4,900, maybe even the one at 4,850. If we did that, I would consider that a little bit weak. Personally, but I also wouldn't just be rushing into short it. It would just be, one of those things you have to feel out of maybe a bit more cautiously. Whereas if you're just holding up here and going sideways, you've barely dipped, you haven't broken market structure, and then you trade into those March flows like that. I mean, then you just get balls long, and you probably will rip higher over the next few months.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part is to tell people when they say, "Oh, there's signs of weakness." Tell them to define weakness to you, because a lot of people like, "Well, the data." It's like no, because you can grab any data skew you want and try to say this is the thing to look at, point at it, and it's one data point, right? But when it comes down to defining weakness as as far as TA goes, I think that has a lot more validity than any data from structure, right? And
Oh,
and
for
that
sure.
that is data.
For sure. We did get our first like bad data in a while, and it's hard to even say it's bad, but we have to frame it like that. And Tucker said it best on the call this morning. It's bad more so because the market's just not positioned for bad data. And we saw that with that snapback earlier in the week. People are balls long, and there's nothing wrong with that until you get something that it's not even like bad data necessarily. Inflation resurging would be terrible, but there's almost no likelihood that it returns to the 2022 levels anytime soon, thank God. But also, what that means is, oh man, I lost my train of thought.
Well, let me add to your point, and if you get it back, call it good and butt in. Um, so a lot of people are talking about inflation, yada yada. Again, multi months, you need that. 2021. Look how long they let inflation run for before they stopped it. Right. That's the other important part. They never stopped it for a long time. Like we knew inflation was settling in 6 months in, right? They didn't start the whole inflation talk until after FTX collapsed and so on and so forth. Well, maybe a little bit before, but the point being is everybody saw the writing on the wall, but wanted to pretend like it wasn't there, and they were looking at looking at it, but not acknowledging it. Um, I think when it comes to inflation, a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, inflation's back up. Do something, Fed. Do something, Fed." That's all they're gonna yell on Twitter, and they're gonna say, "Well, the Fed's incompetent. The Fed's blah blah blah." Guess what? Doesn't matter if the Fed's incompetent. Doesn't matter if the Fed's blah blah blah. The Fed's in control of whether or not inflation gets taken care of or not. So the Fed says, "Hey, we're gonna ignore inflation." That's what he's gonna do. So you can sit there and yell at the mirror all day, looking at it and telling the mirror, "Hey, you're not wrong. They're wrong." But that's like saying, "Hey, I'm not wrong. The market's wrong." It's just dumb. It's literally dumb.
It
I
is.
don't think.
It is. And it's it's funny that we've reached a point where it's like such a small, if you were to say to somebody a year ago, inflation is at this level, and you would have told them that the market would have sold off, on that print, they would have been like, what are you talking about? So, I mean, it's just funny how positioning tends to skew as time goes on. And honestly, like it's always been interesting to see, you know, throughout my time in markets, how time manages to just kind of skew people's opinions on what's possible and what's impossible, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling now, but either way, the market was not positioned for a bad CPI print. I don't know if they're going to price it in from here or not, or if they're just going to ignore it. I would assume they're probably just going to try to ignore it. But I'm just going to harp on again. If you see any weakness in equities, it's going to be over the next like 2 to 3 weeks. And if you haven't, if price is strong, even up, like do not, for the love of Christ, step in and short it, because you will probably get squeezed, because a lot of these options market makers are taking on shorts really so that they can stay delta neutral, and the market is just punishing them. You know, you don't get to stay delta neutral. You don't get to just collect the spread and walk away. No free lunches. Because
Yeah, but the
at the end of the
supposed
day, market makers hate volatility. You would think market makers love volatility because the spread is wide and there's a lot of opportunity for them to make money. But when they have to quote a wide spread between the bid and the ask, you know, it's much more there's obviously much more variance in the outcomes for those market makers who are looking to either offload or take on inventory of that asset. And when there's larger price fluctuations in those assets, it's much more difficult for market makers to stay delta neutral, which, you know, market makers, people love to look at market makers as these predatory entities. And in crypto, personally, I believe they are. You know, you can cope if you think that they're not. You know, look, market makers' job is to capture the spread between the bid and the ask. Yes, that's true. That's true. But seeking liquidity is often inherently predatory. And anybody who trades markets, I feel like, can admit to that, because players need liquidity to enter the market, period. So, you know, it really has nothing to do with hunting participants as much as, you know, you're searching for liquidity. But in practice, it plays out in a predatory style. And yeah, I mean, people just assume that market makers want to go hunt people, but what they really want is just like a perfectly steady and sideways market. Observe the optimism price action from the second half of 2023, where it was just this incredibly choppy mean reversion PA. That's what market makers want, man. They don't want big reversion away from the mean. So when you get these opportunities to push price higher, that's why you see volatility increase too. It's and why they have to continue buying spot, and also, you know, just a byproduct of why they hate volatility, man. People think market makers love it, but market makers, if there's one thing most market makers do not like, it's volatility, unless they're a directional or discretionary market maker. And I wouldn't even consider that the same thing. I do know a few of those, like Sim Tucker. I mean, he's definitely more of a discretionary trader, market maker type.
like
But
playing the upside essentially.
yeah,
And then you
yeah,
sell out before it
yeah.
drops.
He's all. I mean, yeah, he's a fantastic mind. But that can be a double-edged sword. Like he did not have the best time during Luna, for example.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's a momentum play, right? You're playing the momentum, and sometimes you get caught off sides trying to do that. That's why it's hard.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, man.
Crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff.
I just gave some crazy alpha on market makers.
I know. I hope everyone was paying attention.
Well, I love it when people come in. They're like, "Oh, these guys are assholes. They're just trying to wipe out everybody. They wipe me out." It's like you were just in the crowd, bro. It's like you were on the wrong side of the trade. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with them looking for you. They don't care about you and your $1,000. Oh my gosh.
People just don't like to take, and trading especially, it's so ironic. It's like the most autonomous job you can possibly have, and yet also the space with maybe the least level of accountability that I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Which probably explains why most people are not profitable trading markets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
good.
exactly it. TA is based around looking where the market maker is going to seek. If you can find the right places where they're going to seek, you're going to get money. If you find the wrong place and you were wrong about where the market maker is going to seek, you're going to lose money. That's just how it works.
It is what it is, man. Can't save everybody.
Exactly. We've been going for a while. You wanna wrap her up here, Snorlax? What do you think?
Yeah, we can start to wrap things up here, guys, unless we have any last little tickers that we want to talk about. Let me look through the list real quick to see if anything is worth giving any discussion over. I see Bitcoin's just kind of chilling. I at this point I kind of think Bitcoin will run all the highs of this consolidation and then mean revert a little bit, and we'll go from there. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks you. Happy Friday, guys. It is February 16th. Very, very happy with how the week went. Hope you all were as well. I hope you all were able to, learn something or maybe even take something away for your trading over the course of this week. We covered a lot of alpha in the time that we were here. And hopefully, I think we're getting Jackus back next week. So a lot to be excited about for Market Check next week. A reminder, I have to show the Discord before I leave. I'm obligated to do so because we've been killing it. I mean, that's just the reality. Pretty much every analyst, and because Bitcoin has just absolutely been smashing the market over the last few months, we have a vibrant community of guys that have been in there for a long time. And then, of course, we've got a lot of new faces in there as well. We had a ton of people join this week. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in there as well. And one last reminder here, I'm gonna say it one more time, and then we can be done talking about Discord and we can start to really wrap up. The prices will be going up when we launch the BB terminal. It is inevitable. You will bug Max about wanting lower prices when we launch the BB terminal, not just because our service in the Discord is so exceptional, but also because the BB terminal is going to be awesome. We're very proud of it. And we're honestly super stoked to be able to see it hit the market for you guys. But yeah, that is all the business related topics. Programming. Market Check will be back next week, Monday through Friday. We are live every single day, start time near 11 a.m. Eastern time. We talk charts, markets, and everything. We have a lot of fun on this show. We have a lot of fun on this show. And you kind of never know the direction that Market Check is going to go on any given day, which is why I love being a part of it. And then, of course, we have Market Talk with King Wabi. That's our flagship show. The Twitter Spaces, they talk markets, crypto, equities, options. They have exceptional guests on pretty much every single day. So make sure to tune in for that. That show is live Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Whew. All right. I can breathe a little bit more now. We can finally start the outro, guys. But I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Another week that just flew by in markets, man. I mean, what can you say, right? But we'll be back next week. Like I said, y'all have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your weekend. And thank you so much again for tuning in.
See you, fellas.
See ya.